morning and welcome to the Global Rising Summit. Stand up, speak out, be seen. I am Janine Savient, my co-host Heather Ellis Drake, and with us today we have Sara Jane from the UK. Welcome, Sara.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Very welcome. It's so wonderful to have you on the summit today with us. So a little about Sara. Who is Sara Jane? Sara is the Master of Voice and Vocal Reiki, the founder of Gift of Healing TV, an international speaker and author. She is based in Bournemouth on the south coast of England, where she runs her own therapy practice. Sara is a Master Teacher and Practitioner of both Reiki and Vocal Reiki. She also runs workshops to help you connect with your inner child. Sara draws on her own life experiences and healing journey to support those that attend her practice, courses and workshops. She comes from a varied background, having worked in retail, office and public house management as well as insurance. A fun fact about Sara is that she has been a trainee handler with the wolves at the UK Wolf Conservation Trust and felt honoured to interact with these amazing creatures. She is also a voice for many friends from the mythical realm, including the dragons that guard over the Earth's crystals. So welcome to you, Sara, and we look forward to our time together today.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction as well.
You're welcome. So, Sara, we have met through us being guests on Gift of Healing TV, and you come across as being confident and comfortable in your own skin. Have you always been this comfortable and this confident within yourself?
No, it's the very easy answer to that. No, the person I am today was not the person I was 20 years ago. There were experiences that happened to me. I felt unwanted, unloved, not good enough, not worthy. Every negative word you can come up with is how I felt about myself. Put me in a room full of people and I would just want the floor to open up or to stand against a wall and hope it would swallow me. I was so shy, it was ridiculous. Now I've got the confidence, you mentioned Gift of Healing TV, to set that up. That's a weekly program. I can go to fairs. I can stand in the middle of the fair. I work with the Vocal Reiki, which is toning, and I can tone. I don't care who's listening. You know, it really doesn't matter. So that there is a huge difference to the person that I was to the person that I am today.
Do you want to share a little of your story? As you've grown through the years of your life experience to the person you know yourself to be today?
My story actually goes back to just before my first birthday. My mother loved a coffee made with boiling milk. And she made one morning, afternoon, I'm not sure what time of the day it was. She never, ever put a tablecloth on the table in the kitchen. But this particular day she had, for whatever reason. And she put this coffee on the table, having just made it. And I pulled the cloth because I wanted to see what she'd put on the table. And this coffee went all over my face, down the throat, and the jumper that I was wearing. My mother had been training to be a nurse when she fell pregnant with me. So she was actually fully aware that the best thing to do was run me under the cold tap. And gratefully, because we are talking actually 57, nearly 58 years ago that this happened. And so she didn't drive. There wouldn't have been a second car in the family. There certainly wasn't the money for that. But gratefully, the doctors was literally just over the road from where we were living. Doctors called the ambulance, and I was hospitalized for 3 months because I wouldn't leave the wounds alone. That was the biggest problem. What happened was the jumper that I was wearing at the time stuck to my neck. So I was really lucky. Scarring in that respect I didn't get, but the scarring from where the jumper stuck, I still have those scars today. And they literally, from what I've been told, had to, what they referred to as, crucify me. They had to pin my hands back so that I would leave the wounds alone.
Mm.
Back all those years ago, parents weren't allowed to stay with their child. In fact, the rules of the hospital were every other day for an hour. Reality, because of the distance to the hospital and because of the lack of car, etc., was that my parents got to see me for an hour once a week for 3 months. And I know now from my own research into things, and obviously they've done loads of research in the meantime, which is why now parents stay with their children, that children go through 3 phases. And I'm going to keep it very simple. Phase 1 is the naughty phase while the child cries. That's an easy phase to get a child back from. Phase 2 is when the child becomes quiet. They call that the good phase. And that's not easy, but they can get a child back from that. Phase 3 is where a child loses interest in their parents before they even leave the room. And my mother's confirmed I hit phase 3. And as far as they're concerned, the adverse effects, the emotional trauma of that, they can't get a child back from. And that was those circumstances. So 3 months hospitalized. When I came out of hospital, my parents had moved, so I didn't even go home to familiar surroundings. My mother was heavily pregnant with a very, very difficult pregnancy with my sister Gillian. Gillian was born on the 1st of August, 1959, and died 9 weeks later.
Mm.
That was all by the time I was 18 months old. That was just another rejection to me. My mother was pregnant again fairly quickly, and on the 12th of August the following year, so 1960, she had my sister Katie. And they treated, because Gillian was classed as a cot death, although she'd had huge issues and she'd spent most of her very few weeks of life in hospital, she did die at home. And because of what happened with Gillian, every whimper, they went running to Katie. So we were talking about the age of 2.5, 3, I just felt that I was nothing. Nobody wanted me. And going back on my story and realizing that it was just my interpretation, that it was my reaction to what happened, that took a long time before that came to the start of my healing journey. I felt unwanted, unloved, not good enough, not worthy, as if, why would anybody want to love me? And so I was that very, very insecure child. I can tell my story now and it doesn't upset me because I wouldn't change it. Where I am now, if I changed one tiny thing, I wouldn't be where I am now. My own healing journey, which started with a broken jaw. A dentist broke it, extracting a wisdom tooth, and I didn't know it was broken for a week. So more pain in the face and the head area. But that was my wake-up call. It took a long time because I had 6 months pain and sleepless nights, and things went on. It wasn't an overnight thing. But yes, I wouldn't change anything. And I've had long conversations with my mum. Dad doesn't remember or didn't remember much about it. We lost him just over 5 years ago. But it's just like, sometimes our story, well, it's not sometimes, our stories can be the most powerful gift that we've got. And so I can share my story with love. for the younger me, because that's been my journey, healing my inner child.
Wow. What an interesting story. What an interesting life experience that you came in and had in the first few years. So where you see yourself today, and it's obvious to myself and to Heather, because we've spent some time with you, Sara, that you're a deeply self-aware, spiritual and heart-centered woman. How would you say that beginning life as you did, and in those first early years, have brought you to this point of awareness right now?
I suppose I've always lived on trust. Everything I do, when I started to realize that actually I didn't have to worry about what other people thought. I didn't have to spend my life worrying about what can I do to make people like me. What do people want from me? What can I do to make them like me? That's how I lived my life. That's how I was for probably about 38 years. It was that constant thinking about what, trying to think what other people were thinking. And it was that broken jaw, and that was that opening enlightenment that actually, do you know what? People aren't thinking about me. I'm worrying about what they're thinking about me, but they're not. They are too busy with their own lives. They really are. But of course, the experience I had at a very young child, you can't explain to a child circumstances outside of somebody's control. It wasn't down to my parents that they only saw me once a week. It was down to hospital and circumstances. And so it was being able to, I was lucky, I was able to talk to my mum, who remembered it. My dad remembered that I was in hospital for 5 days. He totally blocked out the fact that I'd spent 3 months in hospital. So I guess that was hugely painful for him, which is why he blocked it out. And work, and that enlightenment of not having to worry about what other people thought, because it doesn't matter if they are, even if they are. But the biggest enlightenment that came was when I was out for a walk one day, and I was talking to my younger self, and I actually changed my name as a very young child. I was christened Sara Jane, no hyphen, but I was called Jane as a baby. And when I went to it wasn't my first school, I think it was my second school. I went to the school and I told everybody I was called Sara. And that big enlightenment was the only person who had ever rejected me was me. Mm. And I've done a lot of work with Jane, and at one stage I became very aware that there was a block, and the block wasn't Jane, the block was the very young Sara, because of course she didn't know who she was. Mm. So it's going back, and the reason I say to people these days, still, please call me Sara. I'm quite happy to be called Sara, but I use Sara Jane from a work perspective because I honour the whole of me. Occasionally somebody will call me Jane, and I think, you've never known me as Jane. I don't know why you're calling me Jane, but that's fine. It doesn't matter whether I'm called Sara, Sara Jane, or Jane. Whichever one you use, you are honouring the whole of me. That baby, when I changed my name, and all the years I was just Sara. It's about honouring the whole of yourself. And part of that healing of self was very much, this is where the Reiki came in, and where sound in the form of toning came in, because one of the most powerful things you can do with that is the toning of your name, or have your name toned for you. And the very first time that happened for me, they were toning Sarah and they said, how did that feel? I said, didn't feel right. Elaine, who's my Reiki master, she knew my story. The other lady who was there didn't. But I said, can we make it Sara Jane? Just make it the whole. And we briefly told her the story. She said, I always knew you were never a Sarah. She said, yes, you are definitely a Jane. And so, yeah, some people are amazing with that. But my own journey is how I help people connect with their inner child. It's so important to heal your younger self, but your you of today has to get involved.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the aspect of you, that beautiful inner child, walks hand in hand with you in a very, very deep way, doesn't she?
Oh, absolutely. She is so much a part of me. But she, as my personal feeling is, as we grow up, if we've got a very unhappy inner child, all those insecurities of the inner child sit within the adult.
Yes.
And so the healing of the inner child is the essential aspect. The us of today can only truly come into our full power with a happy inner child.
Absolutely.
And I love being in nature, which is why the picture that I've shared with you, I was out on the moors with my sister and my mum, or one of my sisters and my mum, and I think it was a picture taken by my younger sister. And it's like, I like being out in the countryside. I love being out in the countryside. Yeah, give me out in nature rather than in a town any day of the week. And where I lived before, the current place, I lived fairly close to some heathland, and I would go out for regular walks onto the heathland, and I would talk to myself, but I would talk to Jane, to the younger Sarah. I would talk to myself. I'd have a conversation with myself. And it was on one of those walks that enlightenment, that light bulb moment about the only person who rejected me was me.
So your name, Sara Jane, incorporates the child and the woman.
Yes.
Yes. How beautiful.
But it actually incorporates two children, because I changed my name at a very young age. And I'm not sure how old I was, but probably only something like 6 or 7. And I think it was sort of helped by the fact that, well, I say helped, hindered probably, by the fact that where we had lived, there'd been another little girl called Jane in the area, and she was known as Big Jane and I was known as Little Jane. Whereas now I would have no issues with being Little Jane. When you are feeling insecure, being referred to little as little.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Wow, thank you for sharing. Beautiful, beautiful story.
This is such beauty.
Yes.
I'm a great believer, and I still say now it's the inner child that needs healing. The inner child healing is so important before we can even think about any other healing. But listening to you, wow, what a beautiful journey. Incredible journey. What a gift. And what better person for you now to share this story, to share this journey, to help many others, same as exactly what we all go through. We all go through something once we open our eyes and take that first breath. But not many people go back to that. We're too busy trying to heal what's in front of us now. But it's that veil below that inner child, those derails us as we grow. And so thank you for sharing this message with everybody. Wow. I'm in awe of you. Totally.
It feels so natural to me, though. It really does, because I suppose, my journey hasn't been 5 minutes long. It's been a number of years. I was just trying to think. It was about sort of 19 years ago that the jaw got broken. And it was going through that. That resulted in the breakup of my marriage. I also got made redundant at about the same time. There was then a big move down to Bournemouth, where I am now. But when I stepped into the fact that I needed to get out of the marriage that I was in, for both of us, but I had to make the move. When I took on board that, okay, I've got to say enough, then great, I got made redundant from a job I didn't like anyway. So that was brilliant. And that actually facilitated my move to Bournemouth, because the company was taken over. So that was brilliant. So talk about the universe putting things in place. And although I had an element of understanding of that, I hadn't even started the journey with Reiki at that point in time. I wasn't introduced to Reiki until I did my level 1 in 2002. And all I knew at that point in time was I wanted to find something that I could do to help myself. I wasn't looking for anybody to do anything for me. And maybe I didn't really understand at the time, but I just knew I had to do it for me. I understand now that the only person who can heal you is you. And I very much understand that people like myself now, with the experiences that I have, the gift of the vocal Reiki that I have been given, I've been given the attunement to share with people. So this is a gift I've been given to share with the world. And I feel really blessed with that. I really do. But as much as I didn't understand the full reason behind why I had to find something for me to do for me, that is how I felt. And what is so funny with Reiki is that I don't feel anything. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. I really don't. And I do remember a Reiki share one time, because my Reiki master is brilliant. And I was at this Reiki share, and they were all talking about the experiences they'd had with the Reiki, etc. And they looked at me and I said, don't feel anything, don't get anything. Come on, Sarah, you must. No. Then we did the actual share aspect, where we all receive Reiki. I don't like the word give Reiki, we offer it. And this particular lady sat up after, she then looked at me accusingly and said, don't tell me you didn't feel that. And it was just like, feel what? She said, you were cooking me. And she looked at me and said, you really don't, do you? I said, no, I am doing it all on trust. I just knew that Reiki was something I had to do, that it was mainly for me. It was only when I eventually, after 9 months, thought, yeah, I'll do my level 2. And at that stage, I knew I would go on and do my masters and I would teach. And it was my own Reiki master that introduced me to the sound, to the vocal, to the toning. And it was her introducing it to me. And the minute I experienced and joined in with toning, I loved it. And I now know why.
I would love you to give a demonstration of vocal Reiki today, Sarah. It's a brand new modality that's come into my awareness through you and a couple of conversations we've had. So if you wouldn't mind, we would love you to give a demonstration.
I'm more than happy to. Do you want me to do that now?
Yes, that'd be lovely.
Okay, can I ask, this is what I tend to ask everybody to do, to relax, and if you want to close your eyes, I always work with my eyes closed. It means I'm not distracted by anything. Become aware of the roots in your feet. and let your roots go deep into Mother Earth. Deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth, anchoring into Mother Earth. And you may become aware that she is sending up her love and her protection through your roots, up into your feet, up into your legs, up into your whole body, totally surrounding and protecting you. It isn't about what you hear with the sound, it is about what you feel. So relax and feel the energies of this sound. Open your eyes when you're ready.
That was beautiful.
The frequency, the purity went off the chart. It went off into a nothingness. So thank you so much. It was soft, it was delicate, and you actually went off the chart to hear it in the heavens rather than here. So it's the vibrational frequency of actually who you are as the container of it.
I filled with pure, divine peace and love is what I filled up with. So thank you, Sarah. That was very, very beautiful to experience, and I'm sure the viewers are going to love experiencing that as well.
It's my pleasure. I love working with it, and it works. It doesn't only work on a physical level. I mean, I've worked with it on people, obviously musculoskeletal, sort of very much headaches, migraines, as a physical level. I've literally had bones move under my hands with no manipulation.
Wow.
It is such a powerful vibration, and vibration is what it's about. For anybody that isn't really aware, we are a vibration, sound is a vibration. Our aches and pains, illnesses, ailments, stresses, strains are our vibration out of sync. The vibration of the right sound, which is why it is about what you feel and not about what you hear, can literally pull your vibration back into sync. And that is how the sound energy works. And it's not complicated, but the joy with the years I've been working with it, and it's developed so far now, as I said, that I've been given an attunement for people, is that it can go deeper than a physical level. It can go internal, and it can work on a cellular emotional level, which is where the working with inner child comes in. And the beings that I work with, the sound is all channeled. Okay, I open my mouth and I allow the sound to come out. The beings that I work with are Gaia, Mother Earth, which is why we do the roots, but I also feel that it's important to ground, because the sound can be such an amazing vibration, and bring in the protection as well. So Mother Earth, Archangel Uriel, the angel of peace and wisdom, which again makes huge sense to me, because obviously we create so much peace within ourselves, within the healing of our inner child, and the wisdom to be able to do that. So the peace and wisdom of Uriel is perfect. Saint Germain of the violet flame. The violet flame, the transmutation, it's just like, absolutely. On a personal level, I also work with Mother Mary, which again is about the child. It's the mother love of both Mother Earth and Mother Mary. And more recently, I've realized that not only do I work with crystals dragons, the dragons that guard over the Earth's crystals, so I can bring crystal energies in. And I tend to leave the dragons to choose the crystals because they know better than I do. But there are dragons for sound, so there are sound dragons.
You know, speaking of dragons, Sarah, I have noticed over the last 6 to 8 months or so that dragons have made a huge return in people's journeys of opening up to new realities, new dimensions and realms. So I noticed when I was, of course, reading out your bio that you have a deep connection with these beautiful, beautiful beings. And so can we spend a few minutes in you talking about your connection with the dragons and what they bring and how they support us and who they are?
I'll just be back in one moment. I just want to do something technical very quickly.
Please.
You carry on.
Okay, the dragons. It was back at I think it was the end of 2009. And I became aware that there were to be messages from the mythical realm. And as I said, I don't hear voices, etc., but suddenly the words were in my head, because I was looking for whether anybody got any messages. And it was like, you're doing it. It was just like, what? So I knew I had to sit, and the dragons were obviously one of those. And what was so beautiful, I have to sit and handwrite the messages from our mythical friends. It's very rare that I'm allowed to do anything different. I'm certainly not allowed to sit at the computer and type the message as it comes through. And the dragons said, all of the friends said, we don't really want our myths, our legends shared, because so many of them have been distorted. But the dragons said, there is an element of our myth and our legend that is true. We do all guard over a treasure. You have your own guardian dragon, and you are your dragon's treasure. And I loved that. The fact that every single one of us, we have our own guardian dragon, and we are our dragon's treasure. We are all so special, so important, so valuable that our dragon considers us to be a treasure. And And I loved that. I've done, I was very, very lucky. There's a gentleman who actually lives in New Zealand, Seeker Deer, and he plays the didgeridoo. Oh, you know Seeker? Yes. Excellent. Yes, love Seeker, but he comes from the UK and he spends time, our summer months here in the UK. And I went to one of his sound journeys, and he's written a piece of music called Dartmoor Portal. Well, Dartmoor is an area in Devon. Devon is where I did most of my growing up. Dartmoor is one of my favourite places, as it is his. And he played this piece during the sound journey. And I just became aware, there's a rock on Dartmoor called Haytor. And I became aware of myself standing on this rock on Haytor. And there were just little lights that seemed to be coming out of the ground, which was souls being freed. I just knew they were souls being freed. And suddenly, out of the earth came this massive earth dragon, the earth dragon of Dartmoor. And the freeing of the souls had freed the earth dragon, Dartmoor earth dragon. That night, sort of early hours of the morning, I became aware of there's a granite quarry at the back of Dartmoor, at the back of Haytor, where they got a lot of the granite for, I think it was London Bridge. And I was stood on the edge of the quarry, which you cannot physically do because it's wired off to protect you from falling in it. But it's actually the quarry where my father's ashes are scattered as well. But I was stood on the edge of this quarry, and there's a little lake at the bottom of the quarry. And suddenly came bursting out of the waters, the water dragon of Dartmoor. She was being freed. And I got the sense, and I knew there was a huge storm coming in from America the following day. So this must have been August time, a couple of years ago. And I just knew that the air dragon was going to be freed as the storm hit Dartmoor. I wasn't a witness to that. I just knew that's what was going to happen. And the minute I knew that was going to happen, my immediate reaction was, and what about the fire dragon? To which I got the immediate answer, we all represent fire. And I've been involved in Sheila Kennedy's in Australia, and she was connected with, became aware of a trapped dragon where she was living at the time. Work that we did, and I did with a group when I went and gave a talk here in the UK. Unfortunately, that particular dragon did pass rather than was set free, so she was set free in a different way. She had 3 babies that are being taken care of now in sort of like a dragon nursery. So I love the fact that, and I know I've got my own guardian dragon. She's called Phoebe. She likes to sit with her head on my shoulder, and she's got a little one called Charlie, who's not so little anymore. But
you know, I have friends who know their dragons well. I have my oldest grandson has had a dragon with him since he was the tiniest baby. He's 16 now. One of my flatmates that I live with has a baby one that runs around her neck that's connected to a parent one that she knows very well by name. It's a very new concept to me just in the last year, but I can feel the reality of it, and I have gently stepped into the dragon realm to check it out since since this has come into my awareness. So thank you so much for sharing this part with us, Sara, because there'll be a lot of viewers out there that this will be brand new to, and a lot that will have been having experiences recently, because the dragon realm is overlapping our reality again now, and so they're possibly wondering, a lot of them, what they are experiencing, and this is validation for them. So just if we could move on now to...
Can I just say one thing before we go on?
Please.
I shared a couple of meditations to meet your guardian dragon. One through Gift of Healing TV and one that I did a couple of years ago. The one I did a couple of years ago has had nearly 4,000 hits. I get quite a lot of messages from people which I answer. So if people do want to do a meditation to meet their guardian dragon, just meditation to meet your guardian dragon, Sara Jane, and you will come up with one or both of the meditations I've shared that are on YouTube that people can do for free.
And we will put that in the links below your interview for people to connect with you with regarding that too.
Yes. So just moving on, I'd like you to just talk a little bit about Gift of Healing TV. I've been on there twice now with you, and it's such a wonderful service that you're bringing to this world. And I'd just like to know what motivated you to actually start Gift of Healing TV, Sara?
Quite a few years ago, I was running complementary health fairs, holistic fairs. And I was standing in one of those one day and I thought, how many lives can I touch? Just me on my own. And this was a little bit before the internet was quite so available to everybody. And my thought was, I can't touch many, but if I help other people to get out there as well, how many more lives can we touch? Plus the fact I totally accept I'm not the right person for everybody in any way, shape or form. The gifts that I bring aren't right for a lot of people. They are right for others. And I totally get and accept that. And I started a newsletter that stayed very local at that point in time. And I actually ran it for 10 years. And I said to people, and I did it all for free. The hours it took me. But I said, people, if you're sharing workshops, courses, whatever, just let me have the information. I'll put it in this monthly newsletter that I will send out. And it was, I came close to finishing it a couple of times, but eventually, sort of like after 10 years, it was just like, this is not achieving what my intention. And I literally stopped it in the July. And by the September, I'd started Gift of Healing TV because it was, okay, what can I do? The internet is there. I was given access to Webinar Jam, which is what I use to do Gift of Healing TV. And I thought, okay, fine. I also knew I was going to make it a video because I wished people to be seen. There was something that occurred that I was listening to of somebody else, and I won't go into that, but I just knew it had to be visual. I knew what was so important was that everybody could see who was speaking, could see whether they are totally engaged or whether they are just totally disinterested and they're just talking for the sake of talking. It was really important that people could not just hear the passion, but see the passion and really connect with the individuals. So it was really important to me, and I do love doing it live. I really do. And we do have our glitches, as we discovered. and I go with the flow of those. I really do. And I just totally accept it, because what I think is so wonderful is we are all human. We are all, just because some of us are further along our journey than others, doesn't mean we don't totally get what others are going through. And I think I've met Neil Donald Walsh. I was a messenger speaker at some messenger summits in the States. And I've met other people, and I am really pleased to have met them. But again, they're still human beings. Mm-hmm. They've gone through tough times. And in fact, if you listen to the stories of all of these people, they've all gone through some really tough stuff to get where they are. And while we can stay, I'm not saying attached to our story, but we are connected still to our stories. We can understand and we can empathize with people with what they are going through.
Mm.
And so my whole thing's been, I can't help everybody. I can't touch many lives on my own. But with all the different amazing techniques that there are out there, the amazing people that there are out there, if I can help create a resource where people can go and find meditations, exercises, interviews, panel discussions, all of these type of things, and go and learn about different things, that's what I want to do.
Mm.
I feel it is a part of my journey with Gift of Healing TV as much as the sound and our mythical friends.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful gift, a beautiful service that you bring, Sarah. And I know firsthand because I've been on there twice. So, yes, thank you. Thank you. And of course, all that will be underneath all your contacts will be underneath the video. So, yes.
So thank you. I just want to take this moment in gratitude, Sarah, for being here. Sara Jane, for you being here today. A service you are, like a Mother Teresa. So for you viewers and listeners, all Sara Jane's credentials are below. And thank you deeply for being here. And thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for letting me share my passions.
Mm.